Hi, this is Dr. Sean Benzinger, and welcome to our seminar on love. Why a seminar on love? That's a good question. Let's talk about love throughout the seminar. I think the answer to the question will be fulfilled as we talk about love and its relationship to our well-being and life. For those that have not tuned us in at secondopinion.org, O-R-G, and signed up for the free newsletter so that you know every week new authors, audio and visual reviews of those books will be on that site, as well as article reviews and educational information. So make sure you know that secondopinion.org will have constant, every single week, new information to try to help you learn how to take care of yourself. And the Love Seminar is another attempt on my part to be able to assist you in learning to live a different type of life, a value-filled life, and hopefully one that the stresses of life itself doesn't ruin all these great things that you have and are enduring in your life at this point. Love is an interesting topic matter because the question always comes out as to who deserves it and who makes that choice. Who makes the choice whether you deserve love comparison to your friend or neighbors or someone else? Who deserves to have love? What we need to know is, and what we have to learn is that you have a choice of whether you feel and give love, anger, distrust, hatred, patience, sorrow, joy, misconceptions, if you're going to live by misconceptions, which, by the way, is not uncommon. And which one do you want to learn more of, and which one do you want to concentrate on? And it's interesting, when questioned, often patients will talk about the anger and lack of patience and sorrow and hurts that they have in their life, or the things that bug them that they just can't get out of their head, that goes on and on and on. Well, some of that comes from the parental excuse, I call it, the parent excuse. Okay? At some point, you and I have to stop saying that our parents caused our problem. I had a father that wasn't there. He was there all the time, but he wasn't really there. He didn't teach me a whole lot. He didn't spend a whole lot of time encouraging me as a father that I thought he should be. And interesting, I held that against him for a long period of time until about my mid-30s, when I finally decided to forgive him so that I could forgive me, so I could move forward. It's interesting, as the bad decisions I'd make here and there, I would reach back and say where he should have taught me this or he should have done that. I can't use my mother as an excuse. She's a wonderful lady and did all that she could to keep our family together. I'm proud of her. I really am. And my father is deceased, and the reason why I share these things is because some of you are in the same situation. I'm not the only one out there. In fact, there's lots of us like this out here. And we need to know that blaming our parents for the way we are after 16, 18, 21 years old is nothing but an excuse. And it needs to go away. You need to stop saying that because they whipped me and talked to me bad and they were mentally abused. Well, guess what? You understand that. Do something about it. Stop making excuses. And you know, they have their own stress going on, their own problems, their own marital issues and financial issues and all kinds of things. It's amazing how little credit we give our parents as to what they had to go through and still were there for us. Maybe not the way we wanted them to be, but the best they knew how to do. Okay? They have those problems and they have their own frailties. Hey, maybe they weren't born to be the best parent in the world. Guess what? Maybe they just didn't have that natural gene. You've seen them. They sit in this room with 4,000 children screaming at the top of their lungs, and they're doing needlepoint. And they're talking softly and calmly. And then you go into the other room, got one kid screaming, and the parent's about bald like me. I mean, almost completely lost it because just can't handle that amount of noise and stress. Maybe your parents didn't have that gene, that natural capacity to be able to relax and comfortable no matter what was going on in the environment, and understand that kids are going to be kids and understand the strengths and weaknesses of their children. But remember that your parents have strengths and weaknesses, and frankly, you need to know what yours are so that you don't duplicate it. But what I'm trying to get you to move off of is anything that's part of that past, that's part of the parents. You need to go get the counseling, work through it, forgive them. But the whole point is, it might not get better. It doesn't matter if it doesn't get better. It matters that it goes away, that you're okay, that you move forward. That's all it really matters if you think about it. So as parents, one of the greatest growth steps I think I had was the day that I got to chew out one of my kids, quote unquote, and then I was able to go back in and say, guess what? I was wrong. That was a first. I mean, I think one of my sons was around 5 years old. I had to go in and apologize because, frankly, I was completely wet. I don't know what I was doing. But I needed to go in and apologize and just acknowledge my frailty and that I didn't handle the situation right, and I'm sorry. And it was interesting because that really advanced the growth step of understanding and love between my boys and I, that they just understand that Dad's going to mess up a lot. Not intentionally, but a lot. And parents, frankly, they taught us the best they knew, and the rest was up to us to find. My mother had a rule, hey, 18 years old, you leave. You go to college, you get a job, I don't care, I've done my bid, you're gone. You're 18 years old. I taught you how to cook and how to clean. That was one great thing about my mother. She had the boys, including the girls. The girls already knew how to do all this stuff. They were great at it, but even the boys, my brother and I, knew how to cook and to clean and do our laundry and all that kind of stuff so that we could leave. I think she was training us to make sure that she didn't have to sit around worrying that we couldn't take care of the basics in our life. But maybe your parent didn't do all that, but you're able to teach yourself. Here's the most important part. You must take a step back and say, I need to love them the way they are, not the way they're not. Love them the way they are, not the way they're not. Goes for lots of things, but with our parents we need to be able to do so. Okay? And if you tell yourself enough times, you need to realize, even about your parents or other issues, you'll believe it. I mean, put yourself down enough times, I'm not perfect, I should have done better, and I made the wrong decision, and gee, I married the wrong person, and I had the wrong kid, and it goes on, and I got the wrong job, I got the wrong house, you keep telling yourself that you're not the perfect person, and you should have done better, and you keep putting yourself down. Guess what ends up happening? You believe it. You actually believe it. Here's something that we found out. It's great research. And that is the pituitary kind of runs all the hormone systems, but has this highly nervated back end that kind of senses everything around the society. And what we found out is, let's say that we were involved in an accident, a bad accident, and we're still okay today, let's say, but it was a bad accident, and it was a scary accident. What we know is that a month later, after you've kind of healed and stuff, or maybe 6 months later, if at the time of the accident they drew your blood and they checked your stress hormones, we find they were really, really high and pretty bad, right? Well, guess what would happen if we checked them a month later after we had you mentally go through and actually feel all the things that happened and think about everything, how the car turned over and hitting the tree and the gasoline leaking and the fire that ensued and that you barely escaped and all this kind of stuff. If you do that and we check your blood again, guess what? Your stress hormones go up and up and up. In other words, you can affect your body by just what you think over and over and over until it's unhealthy for your body. It actually damages your body. So here's the person that criticizes themselves all day long. Just, you never give yourself up. It doesn't matter how perfect you do it, it's just not good enough. At that same time, your body, the pituitaries, making all these little cells, and they're actually tagging them with the same negative thought that you're thinking, and sends it to trillions of different places all in your body, and actually makes each one of your cells feel the same thing you feel. Keep thinking it enough. Not only do you think it enough and put yourself down enough, but your entire body starts acting as though you really are not perfect, should have done better, negative person, unhappy, miserable soul, etc., etc., etc. So realize what you think on a consistent basis not only makes a little difference, it makes a huge difference. Here's the other part, putting other people down. They're fat. You ever walk through the mall? Hey, they're fat. Oh, they're skinny. Oh, man, that guy, you could tell. He has that nervous twitch. He's dishonest. He's a liar. He lied once. I know. Now, do you know for sure? Or did somebody tell you he lied? Well, I don't know, but I'm sure he's a liar. He's just a liar. He's a cheat. He's self-centered. Okay? You start putting other people down, guess what? Negative thoughts, negative image, negative input. And you ever imagine how quick your thought process is? I mean, it's amazing. Like, oh, they're ugly. They're bald. they're not that smart. You can't trust that person. It's amazing how snap decisions we make, and they're usually negative. Okay? You don't usually walk around and say, gosh, she's really got a lot of extra weight on, but she's really a pretty face there. And really, I'm sure she's a very kind-hearted, nice person. Boy, wouldn't that be a different thought process? Reason why, keep yourself on a negative thought pattern, and guess what you become? Negative. Making those snap decisions about others gives us a pretty good idea of how you think about yourself and how hard you are on yourself. So you need to keep that in mind, okay? And many times we say things that are negative about our spouse. I mean, it's really amazing. Our spouse willing to hang out with us 20 years, 10 years, 15 years, 30 years, whatever. Put up with all our stuff, okay? And I'm sure they dish out their own thing. And it's amazing how hard we keep them at arm's length. I mean, we just work really hard at it. I'm not sure it makes sense to do that when what we really want is them close and to treat us a certain way and to react a certain way and to be a certain way. What they're not, you want them to be. They go to work each day. They take care of the home. They take care of the home and work each day. It's amazing how little honor we give each other. Respect, consistently, support. We're making these snap decisions again. And usually you see that in people who are spending that first time of putting yourself down all day, spend a lot of time putting other people down. And people who don't necessarily deserve it, including your children. Can you change tomorrow? Does there have to be a dramatic thing in your life? You have to have a heart attack, cancer, diabetes, some severe thing happen, some loss, somebody dies in the family. Do you have to have something shake you loose for you to release love on a daily basis? Does that really have to happen to you? The reason I bring up this seminar is because it's amazing how little we think about how releasing love on a daily basis, no matter how we're going to get back or how we're not going to get it back, but that we could do it just because we want to do it, because we choose to do it. Releasing love on a daily basis encourages a positive manner of thinking that is encouraging you to be a healthier individual. In a way, it's selfish, right? So love the person even when they aren't going to do the right thing. Hey, I love you. I hate what you're doing. I love you. I mean, I've had to say that a lot to I love you. I mean, you're the greatest guy, but you're doing a stupid thing here, man. I want to choke you, but I wouldn't because I love you. And the same thing with your spouse is the same way. Heck, you even know they're not going to do the right thing that day or say the right thing or be, quote unquote, your right thing. But you have a choice to just love them as they are. You can love a dirt pie in comparison to a nice sweet apple pie the same if you choose to do so. And here's the other thing. Making that step to love without expecting it back is a massive step in our society that I think has been lost and untrained in many of us right now, is the idea that, well, I'll do this if. In fact, what it is we do it because we expect something back, not because we choose to do it independent of what we get back. And let me tell you, that's a losing battle. And the reason why is because you somehow think that you giving it means you're going to get it back. And maybe you won't get it back from this person, you're going to get somewhere else. I believe the world kind of evens itself out. But the point of it is, you might not get it in the way that you want it to be given to you. And the issue is, and the important part of it is, you not giving it, you have no chance of getting it back, do you? So give without an if, without an and or a but. Just choose to give. So have we learned respect? Respect no matter what. You're a person. You've woke up today. God has given you the opportunity to serve Him today. You're here, and I'm going to give you respect because apparently He wants you here, even though I'm questioning whether I want you around or not. The truth is respect. Kindness and being gentle when people aren't being gentle and situations aren't gentle and the boss isn't gentle, not even honest. You have a choice to be respectful, kind, and gentle. And you know why you choose to do these things? Is because you feel better inside, and that's all this is about. Because the better you feel inside, the longer you get to live with less disease, and that is my goal here today. Here's an interesting research project. UCLA researcher, if I can speak clearly, we'll be able to get through this. A UCLA researcher found that imperfect children took 3 to 5 times longer to reach their mama. So, here it is. That child has a birthmark. That child has one less finger. That child has a nose that's kind of pug or a cleft palate, or something doesn't look right on the EPGAR scores. Something's not right. What they found is immediately the child is given this impression. Now you think, how can this child know? But you know what? You can feel those things, but guess who else gets the impression? The mother wants to know, mostly if you've had other children and immediately are put on your chest for breastfeeding or anything else, or immediately brought to you, and all of a sudden this one's taken 20 minutes, an hour, 2 hours to get back to you. Guess what? Here's this imperfect child, this feeling, this beginning that you're not quite right. 3 to 5 times longer when the physician or the nurse or the caregiver has seen something that they question if something's wrong. Child starts getting that impression. Here's a great study by Skeels. Orphanage and abandoned. Okay, let's think about this. 12 children were taken to mentally challenged adolescent girls to be taken care of, let's say from 8 until 5 o'clock every day. They didn't live with them and sleep with them and everything else. But these orphaned children that were relatively normal children, were not mentally challenged as far as we know in the study, but these 12 children were taken to mentally challenged, not someone that was going to harm them, but safe young girls that wanted to have children, couldn't have children, but were considered mentally challenged children. Guess what they did? They waited at the door at 8 o'clock, I'm sure, every morning, because it was kind of noted in the study, just some interesting mannerisms of these women, I guess you'd say at that age, 16, 18, 25 years old. They got to have this child handed to them, and they got to take care of it all day. Something they might never get to do again. But this child was, guess what? Loved, cared for, and cried over. Just the little boo-boo, and they worried about it and everything else. But boy, this child just had this fabulous response from somebody who cared about them intensely. And I do mean intensely. So what were the results? All but one graduated from high school. These 12 abandoned, orphaned children. Only one had a divorce. Now, isn't that way ahead of the game? About 50% divorce rate right now, but these orphan children raised by mentally challenged adolescent girls did better, and none of them on welfare, and all of them were self-supporting. So if you looked at this one area, the idea that you're not made to be felt imperfect, that someone loves you no matter what, no matter what you do and don't do, you're still loved and encouraged and supported, and that you just know intently that somebody out there just thinks you're wonderful no matter how many mistakes you've made. So why did they thrive? They were accepted as they were. They were loved as they were. Okay, because these little babies, they weren't any, I mean, some had black hair, some had blonde, some had a little crooked ear. One, I mean, who knows? Here was the whole thing. They were loved as they were. They were seen as someone special. They were held and touched, which we already know that in young children as well as even adults, that stress hormones decrease as the skin is stroked and touched by any source of human touch. It encourages well-being. That's why I think hugs and kisses from family members is huge to demand, because You're happier when you do it. You ever notice when you're not doing it? Usually because you're mad at each other, but more importantly, because we're losing that understanding of joy that is created by touch. So, held and touched, and they were needed by someone. They knew at a very young age. They were a little bit different, but they were needed by someone, and that made it all different. Someone cared enough to show them instead of just talking about, hey, I love you, way over there, don't come over here, don't sit on my lap, don't touch me, I got a lot of work to do. You don't understand. Somebody could stop and show them, give them a hug, grasp at their hand, tap their head, whatever it was, they touched them on a daily basis, and they didn't even necessarily know how to read, start teaching them how to play the piano like Mozart, or to read fabulous books with intense verbiage. But look how well these kids did with mentally challenged children that might not be able to teach them the higher echelon thought patterns. But guess what? They thrived in society and led a good life. So here's what we need to realize. You have this option. You can start thinking differently, and you can say, I'm okay. Hey, I'm not the greatest thing in the world. I'm not the worst thing in the world. I'm just okay as I am, with all my mistakes and all my problems and all my gifts. Remember that too. I'm unique. There is no question that the difference between each individual, even if you are identical twins, you're still unique. And you contribute to life. You not being here affects up to 2,000 people and more, and contributing to life every day. So the difference is, how are you going to contribute? Are you contributing by walking around on eggshells, wanting not to hurt anybody's feelings, and you're afraid everything's not going to be right and da-da-da-da-da? Or are you contributing, stepping up, and actually taking a chance on contributing to other people's lives in ways that you know might help without expecting anything back? So do you want to meet and care for others? Do you want to step out there? Do you want to be part of the society you've been given, or the opportunity to be given? Do you want to understand the misunderstood? Do you want to find other people that are like you, that kind of hide in this shell and afraid because, gee, you got your hand slapped? Somebody just didn't respond right. Somebody said, I don't want to talk to you. Who really cares? There's about 250 billion, I'm sorry, not billion, but 250 million Americans that do want to talk to you, and they do want you to understand them. So letting one put you down, or 5, or even 10, what a waste of life. Don't do that. What do disabled people want? They want to be treated equal, wheelchair, legless, armless, mentally not functioning as well as they'd like to, elderly. They just want to be treated as a human being, saying, I'm okay, I'm unique, and I contribute to life differently than you, but I contribute. I want to be encouraged, strengthened, and accepted, appreciated by others and myself. Now, many people wait to be manually paid to be appreciated, or said something, or sent something. Guess what? Most of the time, lots of people appreciate you, but little of them step up to say that to you. And guess what? You probably aren't either. So if you start stepping up, you might start seeing some of that come back around, and that is encouraging. There was a gentleman that has written many books on this topic matter. He is since deceased. Buscaglia is his name. And he wrote this: you are all you have. Therefore, make yourself the most beautiful, tender, wonderful, fantastic person, and share yourself with others. Why not love yourself? To your own self be true. Perhaps love is the process of leading you gently back to yourself. That's an original Buscaglia thought. Okay? I may not be competent or excellent, but I am present. I'm here. The others aren't. I'm here. I might not be perfect, but I'm trying. Just acknowledge that I'm present and that I am who I am. And that alone might make a difference in my life. If you are a loving person, will rule words and not allow words to rule you. You will tell yourself what this word means only after you have experienced it for yourself. not by believing what people have told you it means. You're a loser. You this. You can't do that. You can't do that. You're not going to, and you're just, don't even try. You have to hear those words, process them honestly, and then decide what you're going to do with them. Not let them destroy you, living in your heart and making it so that you can't take the next step to help someone else. It is the weak who are cruel. Gentleness can only be expected from the strong. It is the weak who are cruel, dishonest, dishonoring. The weak who are cruel. Never forget that. Distancing phenomenon is just something we have to cover because it happens all the time. Opposite of what we need. You ever seen it? You almost have to smile to yourself, but it's not funny that you see somebody pushing somebody away, but the truth of the matter is they want you very, very close. Opposite of what you need. What we do need, we need to be seen. We need to be valued, and we need to be known. If that's all we got on a daily basis, I think a lot of us would feel pretty good, and we want to be recognized for who we are. We like being called our name. We want to be wanted. We want somebody to want. They're not going to want us 24 hours a day. Sometimes getting you out of my face for a little while is a good thing. But you want to be wanted. To be loved as we are. No difference. Just as we are. To enjoy the world we live in as it is. No excuses anymore. No mom, dad excuses. No you excuses. Just as it is, I want to exist in it and make a difference. So a life of love takes chances. They take the trip of life. Life is a process and journey. Life is how you live it. Today, tomorrow morning, you could wake up and say, you know, time to make this different. It's just, I'm going to do this. I'm going to stay positive on this issue because I choose to give because I like giving. Not because I'm going to get it all back. In fact, I'm confident I'm not going to get it all back. But I'm willing to take that step. That can change tomorrow. That can change now. That you can watch this and just look at your spouse or someone watching this with you and you can say, you know, it is worth doing this and knowing I'm still going to get my feelings hurt. And there's nothing wrong with that as long as you don't let it carry on to the next day. So stand for something. Stand for the person who's always got a positive thing to say even when you're hurt. Because then you can sit down, mull it over, work over those words and find out what the real truth is. And make sure you place it where it needs to be placed so you can step up tomorrow and make a difference in the world that you've been given. Make a difference that you lived. Hey, she made the best pies. He had the nicest lawn. They really cared and would call you in time of need. Invite someone in. They might bring some pain and sorrow. But you know what? If you are not willing to have some pain and sorrow with the love that you can give, then you're not willing to live at all. Love is a risk of not being loved back. You have to know that you might be not loved back the way that you want to love someone else, but that's your choice. You're going to need to step up because you feel good giving it. And there's many of us that like giving and would love to have it back, but if not, just continuing to give keeps us going because so many of us just stop. After years and years of not getting it, we finally just toss in the towel. Love to love and expect nothing back. Hope and risk pain, for the greatest hazard of life is to risk nothing at all. Only the person who risks is free. Without that risk, the likelihood of joy at the end is diminished greatly. Lastly, get out of your way and let God kind of move forward. It's all too often I spent the time thinking through so many things so many times of all the things that can go wrong, and I never ever take the step forward. Love. So we asked in the beginning, why cover a seminar on love? This is why. Love makes a difference in how we live on a daily basis. And being okay with who we are and who is in our household and who's not in our household and moving through and making it different is an amazing change in the life that we've been given. So we hope that you've enjoyed this and that you can apply this now, tomorrow morning, set a date, whatever it takes, but start. And don't be afraid. Because Being afraid might stop you from being where you want to be, and that is not okay. We want to thank you for tuning in, and hopefully you can get copies of this to other friends and family. Remember, secondopinion.org, O-R-G, secondopinion.org. Sign up for the free newsletter. You'll know what's coming up, and hopefully that will be of value and purpose to you. I want to thank you for tuning in, and hopefully we've done something to shake loose you to be able to grow and hopefully help others in some way that might benefit them and yourself. We'll look for you next time, and may God bless you.